Don't forget, the next video after this part has already been made and is live now on my Patreon for you to see straight after you've watched this. Fully voice acted, soundtracked, and with my signature editing up for early access to the incredible 4,400 plus patrons who support my work from just $3 with more and more access at higher tiers. This has long been requested to have the full next video early available to you guys who just can't wait for what happens next on Ultra Vegito. And now it's finally here. Links are in the pinned comment and description. Head there after the video. So our story continues with a shooting beam of energy entering and then stopping in the middle of space in an unknown area. The energy seems familiarly angelic, however. But soon it is of course revealed to be Vegito, now back in base, having just travelled to the unknown universe of the so-called Final Destroyer, revealed by Mule, as Vegito would look around and wonder... Well, it looks like that little rat Mule wasn't lying at least. Whis' staff took me somewhere, but surely I've been to every universe already. I can't figure out where I am from the emptiness of space, that's for sure. And so in an effort to try and figure out exactly where the staff had even taken him, in the end, Vegito would then begin closing his eyes, humming lightly as he begins to concentrate thinking, now, what's around here? Any forms of life? Are those yard rats? But it's not long before an extremely familiar source of energy is found. One which was first detected all the way back during the Freezer saga. As Vegito would quickly then begin turning around and yelling, "You've got to be kidding me! What is this? Universe 2 or could it be Universe 7? Ow! Wait!" But mid-movement, as he turns, he would suddenly stop and have a realization. And deep in thought, with his eyes wide open, he would think, hold on a second. I remember now! Back when those 11 gods captured me! Back when I was in chains! When Whis finally freed me! What did he say to me? He told me he appointed a new god of destruction, didn't he? His powers were back, so it has to be true. But who? It was I, Vegito. He chose me. As suddenly from behind Vegito, a mysterious new voice, never before heard in the Ultra Vegito series, would then be heard. As Vegito would then calmly, without fear of any god of destruction, would just turn his head slowly to see... What? You? No! It can't be! Broly! As standing there, youthful as ever, Broly would then be revealed, draped in his own God of Destruction uniform, as with a slight smile, as the new destroyer of Universe 7. Looking on at Vegito with a warm expression and simply letting out, "Hello, old friend. It's been a long time." To which Vegito, of course bemused, almost as if not even believing who stands before him, would only mutter, "Broly, you're alive! You survived!" Of course I survived. Leaving Broly to chuckle and respond, "Why wouldn't I still be alive? I know it's been a long time. But you remember that I lived on Vampa, didn't you? I know what happened to Earth. But Chilai, Limo and I are all okay." but still in his surprised state, still more shocked that Broly's face is even before him, he would question, You know about what happened to Earth? From Vampa? How? But suddenly, everything begins to come clear, as the God-Killer's gaze begins to notice what Broly is even wearing, looking him up and down while saying, Wait a minute, Broly! What is that? What are you wearing, Broly? What are you wearing? Don't tell me! Yes, it is true, Vegito. Huh? But as Vegito questions, it would not be Broly who would answer him, as a soft and familiar blue hand would then tap on his shoulder from behind. What? Who the? But as Vegito would turn his head around calmly, all would finally be revealed. Oh! Merus! As unbelievably, like a fever dream, the successor of Whis is finally shown to be none other than Merus, now in his full angel attire, standing with his arms behind his back and smirking at his former student, continuing, Broly-san over there is indeed the new god of destruction of Universe 7, my student, as the new angel of this universe also. But cutting that reunion short, finally understanding he was now amongst gods, the same ones that he swore to kill, he would turn back to Broly and ask cautiously, Broly, I'm trying to be calm here, but I need to know, how do you know about what happened to Earth? I need to know, were you there? But in response, Broly would just remain deathly silent, staring at Vegito in the eyes, but not uttering a word in response, almost as if fearful of making a sound. Tell me, you coward! But breaking the silence, Vegito enraged would begin screaming out with fury, and veins popping out of his head at Broly, continuing, I'm telling you now, you talk, or I will beat it out of you! But this sudden rage would bring a streak of shock down the spine of Merus, as just the pressure alone of Vegito's rage would begin blowing the angel's hair back, as Merus would wonder internally, Vegito, that energy I just felt, what have you become? But finally replying, sensing the change in Vegito's mannerisms, Broly would then let out, You have Whis' staff, don't you? He told me before he finally left what he intended to do. I know that was his parting gift, so look into it yourself and find the answer you're seeking. Fine! And with that said, Vegito with a disgruntled smirk would quickly swipe his arm up and summon his angel staff, as he would continue under his breath, But I better like what I see, Broly! As soon the God Killer would hold the crystal ball end towards his face and peer with extreme concentration, deeper and deeper until a faint image once again begins to appear within the reflective sphere. And once in, a view of the past is definitely seen, as what at first appears as 11 gods of destructions, all holding balls of destruction in the air, are seen, ready of course to annihilate planet Earth and all its inhabitants, with the late Chumper seen again shouting, My fellow destroyers! We shall do this for Beerus! But as Vegito would begin scanning the area in real time, as if in a lucid dream, he would begin looking past the arm of Mule in his giant robot, as beside him, what appears to be another hidden silhouette is seen. Who the hell? And as Vegito would begin to realize this, he would eagerly begin moving closer and closer to the silhouette, eventually seeing indeed what appears to be a dark figure in Destroyer clothing until... Broly! We finally then see the existence of God of Destruction Broly along with the other 11 guilty destroyers of Earth. It seems all along, Broly too was a part of the horrific incident that robbed the God Killer of everything, remaining silent as ever, with just his eyes closed, not interfering at all. I knew it! That's you! You were there, weren't you? To which Broly, now in real life, would close his eyes once again, but this time in apparent shame or guilt, as he just whispers finally, "Yes, I was there, Vegito." And on the final confirmation of this, Vegito's face would go dead, stunned into disbelief that Broly of all people would also be involved, as he would begin, "Broly, why? Why would you? Why did you just stand there? Why did you let them erase my entire family?" To which once again, still not able to look Vegito in the eyes, Broly would just reply, Because I had no choice. I'm sorry, Kakarot." No choice? But these last words only serve to break the last straw, as Vegito's rage begins to pour out as intense pressure and black lightning until... The God Killer would begin powering up like an untamable beast, still in base, but with masses of energy beginning to overflow out. But on the other side of the multiverse, at the same time, another God Killer would also be screaming and powering up as if eternally linked to one another. This one, of course, being Jiren, as he wakes up after brutally being sliced up by the fourth. As speaking of the fourth of the 5 strongest, Makoto, on Jiren's power, would instantly turn back in surprise, not having expected to heard another breath, let alone a yell, as he comments with confusion, "This cannot be. Jiren the Grey, the first to survive my 1,000 bloody slashes. Impossible!" But as Makoto would ponder, Jiren's outburst and power-up would grow more and more uncontrollable. As screaming in fury, the former Pride Trooper would grab onto his tilted back head, trying to contain himself. But from the outside, his power-up would become so huge that a massive oval of energy would begin to sprout and dwarf everything in its vicinity, including Makoto, who at this point has been forced to cover himself with his blood-soaked wing, as practically the entire planet's surface begins to skim off and plunge onto him. But eventually, the wind would stop, and left where Jiren was would just be a plume of rising smoke. Within it, the dark silhouette of Jiren would now also slowly become visible, black lightning roaring all over as if speaking on behalf of him. Slowly but surely, different parts of Jiren would then become visible. His right eye, his left, his chest, now darkened with strange purple ornaments, his leg, and then his tightened fist. As finally standing there, severely damaged, covered in cuts, Jiren would now appear in a new form. His eyes blackened with Hakaishin symbols coating his body, now in black also. As most strikingly, for the first time, now 2 demon horns burst out of his skull, just as they did with Vegito. But looking down at his own hands, a look of trepidation rather than awe overcomes Jiren, as he begins to say, "The energy that is inside me, it is the same that came out in the pyramid, in my fury and rage. This energy is not who I am. This is not justice. This is darkness. So, this is what corrupted Son Goku." However, Jiren's introspection would not last long. Before in the sky, the Blood Angel Makoto would appear once more, ready to finish the job. But Jiren, now focused, would then stare back and let out, "So, this power of yours, you say this is something the Grand Priest taught you? Something comparable to the powers of Son Goku's killers? Then, defeating you will be the perfect test to know if I am ready to avenge him." But the fourth, with a cocky smirk, would just look down at Jiren like an ant and respond swiftly, "Such impudence from a wannabe demon. Growing simple horns, along with those unsightly markings, will not be what saves you from your fate, young Jiren." As the fourth would then grab back onto the handle of his sword, the same one that nearly sent Jiren to the afterlife earlier, and say, "It's time I shut that mouth of yours and bring your head back as my trophy." As he moves towards Jiren with the same insane speed as before, this time without a look of effort whatsoever, Jiren would instantly move out of the way of the blade perfectly, so fast, after images would remain visible as if he had cloned himself. Pitiful. And the speed would be so great that Jiren's movements would not even register to Makoto, and once again he would land on the other side, smirking as if he had landed once more. Wait a minute! Nothing is happening! Confusing the fourth as he waits for the delayed reaction of his bloody slash technique, but to no avail. What? But as Makoto would look back, seemingly having Jiren in his sights, the God-Killer's speed would prove too unreal, suddenly appearing right next to the fourth before. With a vicious right, slamming his fist straight into Makoto's jaw with a force never witnessed before. Sending the fourth of the five flying through the sky instantly, but crucially also having let go of his katana in the impact too, as it sent flying through the air, spinning uncontrollably, and towards Jiren. But it wouldn't be long before with force, the fourth would regain his footing, landing and skidding back across the ground by his hands and feet, looking at Jiren now, with blood leaking from his lip once more, and angrily grumbling. His speed, it's gone up miraculously, all because of that extra horn. It seems these mortals are evolving into demons faster than expected. But even so, what will this one's limit be? Jiren the Grey. As just as Makoto would finish talking, his own katana would finish spinning in the air and land in the ground, coincidentally stabbing right in front of Jiren. And for a moment, Jiren himself would look down at it, remaining silent as if contemplating his next move before... In a shock move, he would then grab onto the handle himself. Wielding it before his face, staring intensely at it as if examining its craftsmanship, noting, "So, this is what tore through my skin like butter. They don't make weapons like these where I'm from. Master Gichin would have loved this." But Makoto, looking from afar, would be far from impressed, letting out, "Unhand my legendary blade, you beast! That is no toy for a demon such as yourself. Angel-grade weapons will only eventually lose their edge the more they are used by ones who are demonic. Give it up and give it back to me." But Jiren, looking back now, done with his inspection, would just respond, "I could care less about this mere pocket knife's edge. Weapons are not even my style." Hakai! As suddenly out of nowhere, Jiren would show his God of Destruction past and say abruptly the words of destruction. And just like that, before the eyes of Jiren and Makoto, the legendary sword of the Blood Angel would vanish before everyone's eyes. What have you? Instantly ejecting a reaction from the fourth as he watches on in disbelief in the distance before screaming, "What have you done? What have you done to my legendary blade?" Leaving the Blood Angel to react in terror as his treasured weapon is evaporated to nothing but dust. You have no idea what you have just done! You have signed your smiting here and now, demon! As with gritted teeth, Makoto would become angrier than ever, incensed at his loss, as a red lightning begins to coat him all over. As he begins to slowly raise his voice, along with raise his power level, the light clothes cloaking him will then all begin to rise up and flutter as if dancing before... With speed, and now without his blade, Makoto for the first time in his Blood Angel form would confront Jiren hand to hand. Rushing straight forward as the former destroyer and pride trooper Jiren would just adamantly stand his ground in the distance. But out of nowhere, instead of aiming at the God Killer, Makoto would inexplicably choose to slam his fist into the ground instead. What the? Confusing Jiren as he would instantly be forced to raise both his arms up in defense as a wave of rubble smashes all across his body and clouds his sight. You made a big mistake, God Killer! As through the smoke behind Jiren, a set of devilish eyes would suddenly peer through. And quickly, blowing away the smoke around him with just the force of his kick alone, he thrusts his foot straight into the back of Jiren with speed. But just as Makoto would kick, Jiren would instantly turn to meet him head on. Finding a way instead to grab his leg mid-kick and lock it in tightly with his bulged oversized muscles. Unhand me! Surprising the fourth, as never would he have even expected Jiren's movement and speed to have improved this much so quickly. But Jiren's grip would not end there, as quickly his body would begin rotating, lifting the body of Makoto up into the air with him like he was a mere toy before. Creating a mass tornado with his turn speed alone, Jiren would swing and swing Makoto round and round so fast, the very flesh of the fourth would begin to peel off his body, as the Blood Angel would only scream out from the complete lack of control. Eventually stopping abruptly and letting go of Makoto at the same time, sending the legendary fourth shooting off like a rocket straight into the sky. This ends here. But not disorientated in the slightest, and with a pin-sharp focus on Makoto, who is far off in the sky now, Jiren would brace himself down before... With insane speed and force, he would blast off in hunt of his prey. Almost instantaneously catching up and appearing right in front of the fourth's face until... The two would quickly clash their fists, one coated in black lightning and the other in red. And just like that, the clash of the two titans would cause an influx of shockwaves to begin destroying everything in the surrounding area, while simultaneously creating a ball of energy that alarmingly increases in size and light emitted until... You damn demon! How dare you challenge me! It is you who came to me, warrior! And ultimately, in a massive explosion, both Jiren and Makoto would instantly be lost in the light of their own collision. In the aftermath, leaving only dust and remnants of mixed electricity all over, almost as if the two had been destroyed in the force of their own attack. That is, until both would reappear, angry as ever, colliding once more, but this time with their elbows. Each then jumping back simultaneously to garner some distance between each other. Why won't you die? And from there, Makoto, much like what Z did before, would fire off a barrage of bloody energy feathers straight at Jiren from his wings. But Jiren, with one precise chop, would knock them all away, breaking the distance quickly to appear right in front of the shocked fourth yet again. Before, in signature fashion, Jiren's eyes suddenly flash red. My body! Stunning the Blood Angel as suddenly his entire body freezes up. Meanwhile, Jiren would just arrive on the other side of Makoto, as Makoto would comment, "What? What magic is this, demon?" As Jiren would just calmly reply, "This is your death, warrior." As suddenly, in a delayed reaction of his own, much like what Jiren suffered last chapter, Makoto instantly feels the force of multiple unseen attacks, striking his body all at once and all over. But unlike Jiren, Makoto would be left alive, just barely, as he would grip onto his torso and gasp for air. But Jiren, looking back and noticing his premonition of death had failed, would turn and say, "Impressive. Seems you are tougher than I thought. The 5 strongest may not be as much of a joke that you had first led me to believe." Shut up! How dare you! But as Makoto would turn around in fury at Jiren's comments, a shocked face would appear on his face, as if having seen a ghost. As suddenly arriving to bring his death sentence to fruition, Jiren would already be nearby with a powerful energy ball in hand to blast at point-blank distance. But as Jiren would blast his energy beam, it would be the Blood Angel this time that would showcase his indomitable speed. Enough with that right hand of yours! What? As suddenly shifting to the side of Jiren, Makoto would take the extraordinary decision to slam his kick, this time into the hand and wrist of the God Killer, surprising even him with the unorthodox maneuver. Leaving Jiren at first in pain, but once zoomed in, we realize his hand is far from normal, broken and mangled before eventually screaming out from the pain of his broken limb once the adrenaline of their short skirmish wears off. No more screaming! Time for bed, child! What? But there would hardly be a moment for Jiren to process any of the pain, as quickly in the sky, Makoto would appear with his arms clenched together, ready to slam down on Jiren's skull. Frustrating the God Killer as he would think, since when did the tables turn again? Before narrowly just dodging Makoto as he jumps high into the sky away from the fourth. With Makoto only looking back, annoyed with the constant cat and mouse, before suddenly opening his right eye wide as he glows red and ominously says, "Enough with all this. Clearly you have more power to show, and so do I. This time, I'm holding nothing back. Congratulations on pushing me to this." And with that said, Makoto would begin powering up once more, his scream becoming deafening at this point as his name as the Blood Angel begins to make more and more sense. And Jiren, watching on from a distance, cannot help but begin to agree, looking back at Makoto unflinchingly and replying, "If a battle to the death is truly what you desire, warrior, then so be it. Just know, you brought this on yourself." Before Jiren would then close his eyes and grunt quietly, grabbing onto his now broken hand and wrist until brutally, then manually snapping it back into position right before everyone's eyes. Damn! But even for the monster that is Jiren, this wouldn't be without pushing his pain threshold. But at the very least, where we see his arm after, would all be intact and perfect once again until Jiren would yell out himself, powering up now to what is presumably his max strength to match with Makoto. And standing there almost pleased with the level Jiren had reached, Makoto would comment, "This is most surprising, Jiren. You do realize you are far stronger than what we gods had anticipated. To be stronger than a god of destruction is one thing, but to stand toe-to-toe with a seraphim and one of the 5 strongest is another. It's a shame you didn't have time to progress into a full demon. I wonder if your power would ever have reached the level of Lucifer." Oh well, you've lived a good life, I guess. But Jiren, staring back, covered in roaring aura of his own, would just respond, "You gods have always underestimated mortals such as I. It's that same flawed thinking that led Belmont to his death. And history will only repeat itself with you too, warrior. I love the confidence, but I know you didn't just compare me to that clown god. Those demonic powers really have inflated your sense of worth, young Jiren. While Jiren would finally say back, "These powers may be demonic, but they will be used for justice." And instantly the two would trade no more words and rush headfirst at each other at top speed. Jiren on the right and Makoto on the left until... As if perfectly choreographed, the two would land their punches at exactly the same time as each other, both in pain and both squirming without a clear sight at all of who is stronger. But in a quick change of scene, we see almost the exact same thing on Vegito's side once more. But in this case, while Vegito seems fazed by the counterpunch of Broly, the Destroyer, surprisingly in this case, remains cold in the face. Broly! But enraged at this point, even annoyed his first attack would do surprisingly so little, Vegito would quickly cock back his free fist to try yet again. But this one too would just as easily be tanked, this time grabbed and disengaged by merely the palm of Broly. Finished yet? And once we look into the eyes of Broly, a hint of explanation is seen, as Broly would appear with both of his eyes now a deep yellow with black pupils, indicating he had already entered his Ikari form. Before being realized by Vegito, who would comment, "So that's how you kept up? I wondered. Bit unfair, Broly, when I haven't bothered to transform just yet. But I guess that's expected now from you, Destroyer." But without warning, Broly would then spear kick his foot straight into the gut of Vegito. Unclear whether triggered by Vegito's words or not, but Vegito would just cough out wildly blood as he feels the intense rush of power from his fellow Saiyan. Sending the Godkiller flying back in a daze through the depths of space until... Steady on, Vegito. Unexpectedly, Vegito's fall would then be broken instantly by the angel behind him, as if in his assistance. But once we look into Merus' eyes, a cunning face is seen as he would say ominously, Now, Vegito-san, I advise you to not get carried away right now. It is better you hear out Lord Broly first, and at the very least, do not underestimate him." But Vegito, absolutely besmirched by even the thought of a threat, would quip back, "With all due respect, my former teacher, unless you've been living under a damn rock, I'll have you know, the likes of destroyers and angels like you are mere ants to me now. I'll hear him out, but if he or you are involved in the deaths of my sons, my wives, my friends, then you will pay the ultimate prices! Broly!" And suddenly, with his own threat well and truly made, he would quickly then turn to the new Destroyer and yell out, "So go on then! Tell me why you did this!" And Broly, now no longer in a sense of fear, would just then begin explaining. "I did not do anything, Kakarot. I did not participate in the destruction of planet Earth. I was against it. Belmont and Chomper were the ones who approached me with the plan, but I refused. At first, all they could say was that I was no true destroyer, and that I would never receive the respect of the other 11 if I did not participate. Of course, I wouldn't care. All I wanted was the respect of Chilai and Limo. This job of protecting the universe as the destroyer was just for them after all. But things took a turn when they said that if I at the very least did not agree with their decision, and at least be on the planet when it happened, they would come after Vumper next. Chilai and Nemo included. At the time, of course, there was nothing I could do to stop 11 destroyers at once. So in the end, what else could I do but agree? I was there, Kakarot. I saw what happened. But in my heart, I knew it was wrong. I just couldn't do a thing about it. In the days following, however, I knew I couldn't be bossed around into a situation like that again. And after Whis had told me about what he planned to do with you, he left me with the Pyramid of Power to train to my heart's content. A place I could finally achieve my full potential. The one my father had always spoken of. A place I would eventually meet my new angel Merus, who would do exactly that. And one day, I had hoped I would be strong enough not only to protect Universe 7, but also find a way to bring back Earth and undo what they had done to you. But then I heard about what you were doing. Before Broly's face would then become significantly more serious, and he would continue. I heard about how you were senselessly killing the gods, involved or not in what happened to Earth. Innocent victims. So unlike what I remember of you, Kakarot. I heard how you became a monster who would even work with the demons themselves just for power. Creatures I learned after becoming a destroyer that I truly believe you just have no idea about. What route you have now gone down by accepting their powers. When I learned of that, that was the moment I stopped having dreams of helping undo what had happened to you. Because now, you had become the very monsters you seeked revenge on. And so, I went back into the pyramid to increase my power even further. For decades, knowing one day you would come here and try to kill me too. Just like you tried all those years ago. But with Chilai and Limo here for me to protect, I will never allow that. I'm the monster now! But this somber explanation would only infuriate Vegito, having been painted out to be the villain now by his own former friend, as he would continue. So, you not only watched and did nothing as they ripped everything from me, stood there like a damn coward caring about his own hide, but you also now dare stand before me and insult my brand of justice? Then you shall die along with them, Broly! As instantly, now done with negotiation, Vegito would immediately begin exploding in energy and power, finally taking things to the next level it would seem. At the same time though, Merus would quickly vanish from behind Vegito and return back to the side of Broly. But as Vegito's energy would be on the rise, Merus would just stare on without fear and let out, "Power up as much as you desire, and do not hold back, Vegito. Or should I say, Son Goku. This battle will not go how you imagine. You will remember me as perhaps your greatest teacher ever. even beyond Brother Whis, the one who finally taught you to enter your mastered Ultra Instinct at will, and brought out your true potential. But this Saiyan here, Broly-san, is a warrior in an entirely different league to you or Vegeta. A Saiyan whose power grows and improves in every second of battle. Something you've both witnessed. A legendary warrior of sorts. And in the decades we've spent training together, it is no exaggeration to say you have a better chance of defeating Father than defeating the two of us together. And instantly, on the finish of that monologue, the two gods, like twins, would begin yelling and powering up themselves in tandem. Their aura and shockwaves interrupting even Vegito himself as he would close his eyes and raise his arms trying to brace himself. And at first, Broly would enter his classic full-power Super Saiyan form, a legendary power unattainable by neither Goku nor Vegeta. His body bulked up several times, his hair tinted green, and his pupils missing. But alas, things would not end there. As soon, eyes would appear on Broly, now red, as his hair would begin to turn red too, slowly growing out the back of his head, but to a crazy amount, far more than any typical transformation. As with his final scream, we also notice his body contort once more, slimming back down to how he was in base. But strangely, on his cheek, his scar would increase in size and darken to resemble a certain other legendary Saiyan. And once all would be said and done, unbelievably, Broly would be seen in a very familiar form, having now become the second true Super Saiyan God in history. The form previously only ever achievable by Yamoshi himself.
Wait a second! This energy, that form, is that?
Leaving Vegito with one eye open, but completely shell-shocked at what he is even seeing from Broly.
That cannot be!
And of course, Yamoshi inside would be left equally as stunned, as it would almost appear now as if he was looking in the mirror. But all the while this would be going down, Merus, who would be covered in a mysterious aura of his own, would let out mysteriously, "Don't be so surprised just yet, Vegito. The limits of Broly-san have only just been scratched." As in what almost appears like a throwback scene to when Merus died in the Moro saga, Merus would say softly, "Goodbye again, Son Goku," before his body would start turning to a strange white light, and so too would Broly's, as inexplicably the two would move closer and closer together, forming the silhouette of what appears to be one body until... finally, the first fusion between a Saiyan god, a god of destruction, and angel would appear, as for the first time in history, legendary Angel Broly would be revealed. Angel Saiyan versus Demon Saiyan. The battle of the ages is soon to come. But that was it for today's video, guys, and if you made it this far, leave me a hashtag Broly in the comments down below and let me know how this insane battle between angelic and demonic Saiyan will go down. or just find out right now on my Patreon, where you can see the full next video, fully voice acted, soundtracked, and edited for you to enjoy with over 4,400 plus other fans, as well as getting access to 250 plus other fanmongers too. It's the deal of the century.